All right, this is episode 21 of the Tool Bags of Sports podcast. I'm your host, Sebastian Caballero. Joining me today is three of the biggest Dolphins fans that I know. This is a very important draft for us Fins fans here this year, and I needed to get multiple opinions because you're going to hear me say some ignorant shit about who I think we should go with. But I wanted to bring three other guys in to give their opinions. I got Ralphie Jordan, I got Andy Ruiz, and I got Robert Riol joining the podcast. Guys, what's going on?
What's up? What up?
All right, guys, so let's get started here and let's talk some Dolphins. Obviously, it was a busy offseason here for the Fins. We signed some key pieces, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I want, Ralphie, I'm going to start with you. What were your thoughts on the Dolphins offseason moves?
Man, they were pretty good moves. We pretty much beefed up the defense. We got Byron Jones, that was a big sign. We got Shaq Lawson, that was another beefing up the D-line. We got the gentleman from the Browns, Ogba, I believe his name is. Hard name to get there. And yeah, man, I feel like just building up the defense, I feel through the draft, we're going to build this offense and move forward.
Andy, what about you, man?
I mean, yeah, we definitely hit positions in need, bro. With Byron Jones, we put him up with X-Men back there. You got two of the top corners in the league ready to shut it down. I feel like Eric Flowers, bro, if he plays like how he did last year, then that's a steal for us. He's the best O-lineman we got. But if he doesn't, then it's not gonna be pretty. And then I think an underrated signing is Ted Karras from the center from New England. That he took less money to take a one-year deal from us. So I feel like on a contract there, he's going to blow up.
Rob, what's going on, man? Tell me your thoughts.
As far as the signings, I think they're pretty solid all the way through. Like Ruiz said, I like Eric Flowers, and if he can play the guard position like he did last year, I think we're heading in the right direction. Again, I like the corners. We probably have a top 5, maybe even top 3 corner duel right now in the NFL. We got to see how they play and how they mesh. Apart from that, I like the depth that we have at the defensive line now, because that was always one of our biggest concerns. We never had depth on the line, and winning starts in the trenches. It's always been like that. Winning starts in the trenches, and you got to build the foundation from the inside out, and they're doing that finally. You know what I mean?
Andy, you touched on this a little bit. You mentioned we got a couple Patriots players. That usually doesn't work out for other teams. Is there any concern at all with those moves?
There's always concerns when you sign those players, but I feel like having Flores over here, he knew exactly who he was going to target, and he knew who can perform in his system. You got Kyle Van Noy, and yeah, he can rush the passion, but he also dropped and cut back for a running back. So those are guys that fit his system, you know? So he knew who to get and who not to get.
So let's move on here to the next question here, because one of the things we were talking about here off camera was just that for the first time in 20 years, the division is finally open, right? Like the first domino got out of the way. We got Tom Brady out of the division. We still have some good young talent here, but for the first time, it feels like, any of the 4 teams in the division could actually come up and win it. What do the Dolphins in specifically need to do to take the division this year? Any of you guys?
We got to hit on the quarterback position. We got to hit on our draft picks. More than anything, that's what we got to do. We have to, we have to hit on our draft picks. And, that historically, that's what good teams do. Good teams that are rebuilding, the rebuilding doesn't mean nothing if you're not hitting on draft picks at the end of the day. And you have to hit on free agency too. We have the most picks in the next 2 years. We have to hit on a lot of those picks in order to save cap, in order to save money. If we're hitting on picks, we're not signing big-time free agents. Yeah, we're going to have to play them in the long run, but it's going to save us money and try to win as fast as we can if we do it that way.
Yeah, you said earlier, bro, from the line out. We definitely have to put more pressure on the quarterback. I think last year we had 23 sacks, 122 rushes to the quarterback. You sign these guys, so they have to produce. You can't wait on these guys. They're free agents. They're 25, 26 years old. They have to hit. And you also have to protect the quarterback, bro. But you sign these 2 guys. Hopefully, I'm hoping we get a draft pick in the first or second round that can beef up the whole line. And you need a running game, bro. We were horrible in the running game last year. We drafted Howard. Hopefully we get somebody. We produce this year, bro.
A point going back to both of them, what they said was, we got to build the trenches, man. We got to hit on those draft picks, those mid-rounders, those second-rounders, third-rounders, fourth-rounders, and really build the team around that and save money and bring in free agents as well. We got to make a landing spot for ourselves as well.
So it seems like we're all on the same page here as far as what the fuck the Dolphins need to do. But we're going to get to the questions here. This is where we're going to all disagree a little bit. Because we acquired a lot of picks, right? But like Robert said, man, like these picks don't mean shit if we don't fucking hit on them, right? Like you can acquire as many picks as you want, but if we don't hit, it doesn't fucking matter. Now we have a very, very good draft for us. We have 3 first-round picks, but let's talk about that very first one, okay? The number 5 pick. There's a lot of different people saying a bunch of different things. What are your guys' thoughts on that number 5 pick? I'm going to start again with Ralphie. Ralphie, you got the number 5 pick. You're on the clock. Where are you going? I'm going to hypothetically say both Tua and Justin Herbert are still on the board.
Man, I'm going Tua. We tanked for Tua. We're going to take Tua. We're going to do it. Even though he's got the injury question, what we got to do is in the second round, not the second round, but the second round pick, the second pick we have, we got to take that O-line. We got to protect him. We got to get people to protect him. We got to build a team around Tua. Make sure he's good for the long run.
Yeah, bro, you got to take Tua, bro. That guy, he's as I'm not going to take Herbert. You're talking about another Tannehill, bro. You're talking about another guy that's going to be mediocre. You're going to take Tua, you're going to swing for the fences. Yeah, maybe he will fuck up and maybe he will get injured, but what if he doesn't? You know, can you live with that what if for the next 15 years? Because I know I already lived with that what if for the past 20 years with Drew Ruiz. You know? You do that, drop the whole line and protect, bro. And that's what you got to do, man.
Rob, I'm going to change it up for you here, Rob. So I got number 3 pick. The Lions are on the clock. They give you a call. They let you know the Chargers just called them about trading the number 3 pick. They're going to take Tua. Are you trading up to take Tua at number 3?
Well, I was gonna answer that previous question with I don't mind if Tua or Herbert are who we take at 5, but I just hope and pray that we're not having to trade up and waste draft picks to move up to 3. That's one of my biggest concerns. I hope we stay at 5, and I hope from 5 we see who's there. If Tua's taken, it is what it is. Because at the end of the day, I like Tua. I like the talent, but he's never played a full season since high school. You can't forget about that. The guys are bigger, stronger. They hit way harder than the NFL, right? So Herbert probably has the highest ceiling of any quarterback in this draft. Ceiling as in he's 6'6", he runs a 4.6. The guy has all the intangibles. The guy has all the measurements. Okay, Tua can have all the talent in the world. Okay, if Tua cannot be on the field, talent don't mean shit at the end of the day. Okay, again, the talent's there. If he can put it on the field, I don't mind taking him. I just hope we're not trading up for him. I really don't.
Andy, same scenario. The Lions are calling you. They're telling you the Chargers are thinking about trading up to take Tua. What are you doing?
You go and get your guy, bro. If you got to give up a first round, you go ahead and give up the first round. If that's your guy, that's your guy. Tua has one thing that Herbert will never have. He has the it factor, okay? When he's on the field, you know you're going to have a chance every single game. With Herbert, I've seen highlights of the guy throwing a wide open target by 15 yards. We're throwing him. You go for your guy. If you have to give something up, you go and grab him.
Ralphie.
You don't think Herbert could have done almost the same thing in Alabama's system? I mean, Tua averages the shortest passing attempts in the nation. I mean, it's just slants. He has 3 of the best wide receivers in the country. Herbert had a lot of injuries this year, put up similar stats, a little lower on the accuracy percentage, but at the end of the day, I mean, he put up numbers at Oregon with a lot of star players out. Drafting a lefty quarterback changes the whole dynamic of the field. You're basically obtaining linemen to protect a lefty quarterback. Your left tackle essentially becomes your right tackle. There's a lot of things besides just talent. You have to, like I said, I like Tua's talent if he can be on the field, but he doesn't wow you with his arm strength. he has great accuracy to the football. He can extend plays, and he is dangerous when he extends plays. But he doesn't wow you with it. He's very similar to a Drew Brees type of passer. He relies a lot on the ball's placed. But here's what I kind of agree with Andy in the sense that if you miss on Tua, if you don't draft Tua, let's say they're both available at 5 and you go with Herbert, I think if you draft Herbert over Tua and Herbert is mediocre, you're going to get scrutinized forever. It's going to be hard for you to get a job as a GM, right?
You're going to lose your job in 2 years.
Exactly. But here's the thing now. If you draft Tua over Herbert and Tua becomes a bust and he becomes injury prone, he continues to become injury prone, and he can't be on the field, he puts up shitty numbers, you have... It's less of a job liability because you went with a better prospect at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
No, what you gotta say, it's the safer pick because it's what the fans want, man. It's if you draft Tua and he doesn't hit, nobody's gonna be pissed at you because you know what, that's the guy that we wanted. But if you draft Herbert, he doesn't hit, then it's like, well, your ass is on the line. Ralphie, I'm gonna get you in there. I know you've been waiting here. Go ahead. Same scenario. The Lions call you up for the number 3 pick.
Yeah, man, I think you trade up and you, like I said, you take the guy who you tank for. Tank for Tua, man. You take Tua. You gotta take Tua.
So
and what I think also is we should trade that 18th pick, try to move up to the top 10 and go get Dredrick Willis as well. We protect Tua with his guy as well, man. Make him comfortable.
So are we all, because there was reports about the Dolphins trading 14 picks for Joe Burrow. Are we all out on that one?
Hell no.
We're all out on Joe Burrow. Okay.
I don't even think trading a first, because they're not gonna take 1 first round for Tua. They're gonna want our whole first round. I just don't think he's good. Don't get me wrong, he's good, but he is so injury prone. I don't think our whole first round is worth moving up 2 spots. I really don't. I don't think he's an Andrew Luck. I don't think he's a Peyton Manning. That they're guys that are gonna come into the draft. You know they're gonna be starters on your team and win off the bat.
So before I give out, I wanted to ask you guys that before I give you my 2 cents here. So, at first, so back in January, somebody released to the press that the Dolphins were interested in taking Justin Herbert, right? Like that was the guy that they were looking after. And I was like, you know what? That doesn't make sense, right? Because like they have a really good opportunity to get Tua. I was just like, oh, that's just, to get, everybody's attention off of like, Tua. But then they offered 14 picks to the Bengals to try to get Joe Burrow, which lets me know that that's not the Dolphins' number 1 pick. And there's just all these reports all of a sudden coming out, oh, that the name that's heating up is Justin Herbert or whatever. And I'm just like, there's teams talking about Justin Herbert. What teams are going to be talking about Justin Herbert? The teams that can go out and get him, which are the Dolphins and the Chargers. So that tells me right there, there hasn't been that one report that has told me the Dolphins, bro, Tua's their guy. That's who they're going for or whatever. And that like lack of confirmation makes me not trust that they're really, sold on Tua. That's my concern with it. And to just back up Robert's point here, I would not trade up to number 3 to go get Tua or Justin Herbert. I agree with him. Like we gave up so much to acquire these picks. Why would you go and give up an arm and a leg to move up 2 spots for a guy that you're not really even sure is going to stay healthy, right? Like, there's just so much concern. Even Nick Saban has come out that Tua's the reason why Tua gets hurt is because he tries to extend plays when he doesn't have to. He doesn't know how to throw the ball away, which always could be learned over time. But you're investing so much in this one player that you need him to like know that from the go. And I feel like the Dolphins have a great opportunity right now with 3 first-round picks to really solidify their entire team. I think if he's there at 5, you take him. Otherwise, I would even trade back, man. And the tough part is going to be finding a team to trade back with. But I would even reach out to maybe the Jaguars at 9. If you can get that number 9 spot, maybe draft Andrew Thomas, which is the offensive lineman that I love in this draft. There are so many other pieces that the Dolphins need. I'm going to tell you guys the 3 guys in this draft that I absolutely love that I would take. If they're there, I'm taking them. Andrew Thomas, offensive lineman for Georgia. AJ Epinesa, the edge rusher from Iowa. and Jonathan Taylor, the running back at Wisconsin, bro. Those are the three guys that I absolutely fucking love. Those are Pro Bowlers. Those are all pro players. What I want to ask you guys, I want you guys to give me your fantasy draft right here. Okay, you're the Dolphins. You're at 5. We're sticking to 5. The Chargers traded up to number 3, and they took Tua. What are you doing with your number 5 pick? Andy, I'm gonna start with you.
Dude, you take a quarterback, bro. If it's been so long, Tua or Herbert, you go with Herbert, bro. If he came back and then had a project in Jordan Love, you know, he might be good, he might be not. He's worse than Herbert, so you get the top available quarterback prospect and you grab him, bro. If you think highly of him, then you grab him. I would.
Even if you're not sold on him.
You have to be sold, but they've done their homework, you know. I would grab the quarterback.
Ralphie.
I take the best available lineman right there, which would be Jedrick Willis from Alabama. Why not? We need to protect our quarterback. Whoever our quarterback is, we need to protect him. That's where the game is won.
Rob.
It's not like a broken record, but we're going to keep repeating ourselves. That don't matter. The trenches is where the game is won, man.
Rob.
I go Herbert. I like Herbert. I like the guy. I think he's hopefully he becomes a good quarterback. But if Tua's off the board, I think it's so easy. I go Herbert in a heartbeat. I don't have to double check that. I'm going Herbert.
Would any of you guys consider taking another skill position player there at 5? Perhaps if you have an offer to trade back, and then taking a guy like Jalen Hurts or maybe Jacob Eason later on in the draft?
You can, bro. You gotta get the top available quarterback. We've suffered enough, bro. And now what? Now you're getting Q. You finally got the 5th overall pick. You want to get Q and get another guy in the 2nd round, a guy in the 3rd round, an extremely developmental quarterback. You can, bro. You gotta go for the top available talent. And yeah, Herbert can throw the ball 100 yards, bro. Let's see if he can pan out in the NFL.
I mean, but what's waiting one more year for Trevor Lawrence to come out? Why not take the protection now and then get the kid and bring him here? Like,
because the Dolphins are going to win 7, 8, 9 games this year, and there's no way in hell they're going to number one pick. If they won five games.
Good old Dolphins, man.
All I'm gonna say is don't be surprised if there's at least 3 0-16 teams this year, because that motherfucker is the future, bro. And not only him, because you can get the 2nd pick. Justin Fields is a stud too, man. So I don't see the Dolphins being able to land Lawrence, unfortunately.
That would be nice, though. That would be nice.
Yeah. So question here. All right. So let's move on from quarterbacks here. We do have multiple holes that we got to fill out. Like Ralphie had mentioned, offensive line. We still need an edge rusher. We need a fucking running back, bro. Like a stud back. And our secondary could use some help too here. With our 18th pick, with the number 18 pick and the number 24 pick that we have, or maybe some picks that we have later on in the draft, who are some of the guys that you guys are looking at? Who interests you guys?
Dude, I would go for somebody in the 2nd or 3rd round. Look for the guy from LSU, the guy from Florida State, but I would not spend a 1st round pick on a running back, bro. You got Howard, if you got a solid running back later on, and those are some of the guys, but definitely, bro, I would not spend a 1st round pick on a running back.
If it was up to me, I'd go with I like the kid Gross Matos, the end. I really like him.
Mm-hmm.
I really like him. I wouldn't mind taking him at 18. I see a lot of mocks picking up this dude DeAndre Swift out of Georgia. But I'm with you. I would not like to see him drop the running back, because that position is so valuable, right? It's losing its value at the same time. But you do need a good running back. You need a solid running back, and I just think you can get by with a very solid running back, and there's no need to get one in the 1st round. You could draft a solid one in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. You can get a running back throughout the whole draft. It's not something that we need so bad that we need to waste a 1st rounder on. I don't think so, and I think DeAndre Swift is good, but I just don't think that it's something that we desperately need to spend the 1st round on.
I agree.
I honestly think we don't need to pick a running back in the 1st round. If we can, we steal a guy like the guy from LSU, Edwards, Hilaire, or something like that, and or maybe DeAndre Swift, like Rob mentioned. I think we need to go protection. Like I said, keep repeating myself. Once again, we need to go protection. We need to go maybe Josh Jones from Houston. That'd be a good pick for us. So
I like Andrew Thomas.
that's a good one too.
Andrew Thomas is my guy.
Georgia.
Andrew Thomas is my guy. As far as the running back, like I said before, there's only one guy that I love, which is Jonathan Taylor. But Cam Akers is a fucking stud. I'm not just saying that because he's my guy. But Edwards is a fucking from LSU was a stud too, man. And then as far as other guys, I was thinking maybe Xavier McKinney from Bama. I don't know what it is about defensive players from Bama. That's like the safe pick, bro. You can't go wrong drafting a defensive player from Bama. And then the other guy that I think is a sleeper is fucking what's his name, Antoine Winfield Jr., bro, from Minnesota. The safety, bro, 7 picks, had 80 tackles this year. The guy was a fucking monster for an 11-2 Minnesota team that popped off this year. Like, I think that's going to be a guy that's going to fall down to the second, maybe the third round. That could be a fucking steal if he's there. And we haven't taken, a safety in the previous rounds. I say go for it, man. Okay, now, predictions for the 2020 season. Say for shits and giggles, the Dolphins fill out every fucking need that they get. We get Tua. We get our guy. Okay?
I say 7-9, best case scenario 500.
Andy?
Yeah, I think they can go 8-8. 8-8 is pushing it for the playoffs, especially with this new format. And especially with New England losing Tom Brady, you don't know how good they're going to be. Maybe they're not going to be good at all. Maybe Belichick can't turn that scrub quarterback any better. Maybe here's a momento. But I see us fighting and playing meaningful games in December.
Yeah, I agree.
I honestly don't see the Dolphins doing much. I mean, we'll start off maybe winning a couple games, but we're not going to be contending for any playoff spot. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick will be the quarterback for about the year or maybe the next 2 years, even if we pick Tua. So I got the Dolphins going either 7-9 or 6-10.
With the unlikely scenario that the Dolphins don't draft the QB, do you guys at all see the Dolphins going after Cam Newton?
I personally wouldn't. I really would not have minded if they were able to sign Cam and Jameis. Cam or Jameis, for the single fact that I would love that quarterback room to finally have some competition. So essentially, you're gonna have a Fitzpatrick, Jameis, or Cam, and then you're gonna have Tua or Herbert, whoever they draft. You know what I mean? But that quarterback room is gonna have so much competition, and for a fact the starting quarterback of the next season or two is the guy that was best out of that room. You know what I mean? Like Tannehill never had competition, and I think competition drives a lot of players and makes them better. And Fitzpatrick, I think these guys could learn a lot from if that was the case.
Yeah, dude, I definitely agree. I mean, if we don't get Tua, we don't get Herbert or whatnot, I mean, why not? You're going to give Cam a one-year contract. He's going to be there with Fitz, so they're both going to be eating each other alive, because they both want to play. And, bro, Cam is talented, bro. He's 31. He went to the Super Bowl. He had a bad year. He was injured and whatnot. The guy, he could still play, he could ball,
I mean, going back to what Rob said, man, like, we need a quarterback room where we got competition. With Tannehill, we didn't have something that lit a fire up his ass to get that shit going.
Yep.
And that's what really killed us. Matt Moore was not going to cut it. We need to have guys that compete, want to win, and want to show out every single day. That's what we need. Whether it be Tua, Cam, Jameis, it doesn't matter.
So last question here. Now that name was tossed around here a couple of times. Any regrets on letting Tannehill walk?
Bro, his time came, bro, and it was just time for new beginnings for both sides, bro. New coach.
I'm happy for the guy.
And I'm glad for him. I'm happy for him, bro. I always rooted for him, bro. That guy was a tough son of a gun, man. How many times did he eat grass every Sunday, bro?
You got to give up on a guy when he throws a pass and he gets the receiver hurt. That's just all I'm saying.
No, I'm with you guys.
I think Tannehill showed his true colors in the playoffs. I mean, don't get me wrong. You have a guy like Derrick Henry. You're gonna want to pound the ball back and forth all game long. You're not gonna have many passing yards if he's running the shit off the football. But I just don't think if the tables were turned and Derrick Henry was getting stuffed, I don't think you can rely on Tannehill to win you the game. Yeah, he played good in the regular season, but in playoff football, I don't think that's the guy you can rely on if your running game is not getting going. I don't think you can tell Tannehill, go win me this game. I wouldn't feel confident at least.
Nah, he's a solid quarterback, but he's not gonna take you to that next level. And we saw that here for many years here in Miami, man. But that's gonna be it for this one here, guys. I want to thank Ralphie, Andy, and Robert for joining us today, guys. Please stay safe during all this, you and your families, and let's do it again sometime, man. Go Dolphins!
Appreciate it, brother.
That was Ralphie Jordan, Andy Ruiz, and Robert Riol, pretty much preaching the same message. Got to go get our quarterback. Got to upgrade the offensive line. Hopefully the Dolphins front office can really come through for us in this draft. It's a very important draft for our entire franchise here. But that's going to be all for this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our YouTube channel. Until next time, I'm signing off.